Hey everyone, welcome back to another challenge recap. I'm here with my man Philip. We're going to be dropping some knowledge. We're going to be looking at entries for our Bauhaus style design challenge. And this one I know was interesting. It takes a little bit a little bit of a different side of your brain maybe because it's not so simple, but it's also simple in a very interesting, detailed way. I don't even know how to explain it because I am not a master at Bauhaus design. But if you could briefly sum up in your mind, Philip, like what we were thinking, what you would like to see. Obviously, we have a tutorial as well as the poster right there as an example. But what came to your mind that you wanted people to basically have in their mind while they were submitting entries here?
Hello, everyone. Bauhaus is a really difficult topic because it's really regulated. There are a lot of rules for that. And you need to know these rules if you want to create a real Bauhaus design, especially the grid. Everything that you create on a poster or an editorial design in Bauhaus is really structured and there are no excuses. So if you have a grid, you need to stick to the grid and you need to make it work for everything. And actually, you always start with a grid before you create. And we will see in our entries who really did that because it's the most important thing for Bauhaus. And who didn't, but maybe it looks cool anyways. So let's check it
Yeah,
out.
who likes to break what we said earlier is break the rules. Like they're like locked in the room and they're like, I'm breaking the door down. I'm breaking these rules. So here are the top three. So we're gonna go through these top three. Then we're gonna look through the other entries, and of course we're gonna award a special winner. And you got to make sure you watch the end because ever so often somebody wins on the challenge recap. I send them an email. I send them a Discord, whatever. I don't hear back. So if you want to win and claim the reward, make sure you're watching to the end because even a YouTube comment, I can see it and we can get you set up. So let's look at these top three. Philip and I have some thoughts, but I want you all watching to comment below why you think the first place won. So 1, 2, 3. Let's talk about first place. If you're watching, tell us your thoughts on first place. And then Philip, tell us your thoughts on first place.
Okay, let's go. So the first place
Let's
is
go.
let's go, man. The first place is definitely aesthetically pleasing. It's really not a real Bauhaus design because you never have the centered position of the typeface. You never have stretching in the typeface for Bauhaus. It's a total no-go. But this is very good looking. So this is
Correct.
why I think people voted for that. And it also has a little artistic vibe. Some of these entries that we see here have that. And it reminds a little of Vasily Kandinsky. That's an artist. Google him if you don't know who he is.
Yeah, we've got it pulled up here.
Especially in his late work, he uses a lot of really simple forms, elements, tries to make a composition, and it's really a challenge to use only few elements to create a great composition. And I think in the first place, the person achieved to create a nice composition with very little elements, and that's very nice.
And also looking at Kandinsky's work around that same time period, I'm almost like I don't even know if text is needed there, and it'd still be a really nice poster. You know what I mean? Just
Yes, definitely.
no Bauhaus,
Just
no 1990. Just
yeah, definitely. If you would take away the words here, it would be very good, and it doesn't really need it, you know.
So yeah, definitely. Again, if you're watching, let us know what you think about first place as well. There's a lot. I mean, it is simple, but there's still a lot going on. It is kind of it's extracted principles from Bauhaus, but maybe not necessarily in the full brief that what we were thinking, but still very, very good. So congratulations to Live in Aloha. So second place, Kathleen did another amazing job. One of our ambassadors, been using Kittl for a long time. Very similar in nature to our tutorial. So what comes to mind for entry 2, Philip?
Yeah, so related to the term simple, it is simple, but it is mindful. You know, this is important. Keep it simple, but have a good concept and stick to the concept. And in this one, you have the clean structure. You have dimmed down colors. So it's not really dimmed down, but it's really harmonic. It's really typical for the time period. And what is good here about the typography is that it's really put on the left or on the right. I'm not a native English speaker, so I don't know how you say that. But
justified.
Right, when you put it on you just create order with this, and you create a kind of hierarchy, or a hierarchy. You say hierarchy, and you read the stuff that is important. That's on the left first, and then the not so important information that is on the right second. So that's really great. You always have to think about hierarchy when it comes to Bauhaus.
Yeah, and I love that
hierarchy of information, of course.
Yeah, I love that the shape structure is different too. There's different types of shapes in here. That's a little different than what we went through, but you can tell that there was care going through the tutorial of how we kind of set up the grid, the way that we set it up, and following in that same grid line with a couple different shapes, which I think is really interesting. And aligning that text. I think aligning text using a grid will be our common theme for everyone watching. Just keep that in your mind, making sure text is aligned and using a grid. So with that in mind, let's go to entry 3. Let's talk about what's good, why they maybe got the 3rd place, and then let's talk about what's improved. So what are your thoughts on 3rd place here?
The 3rd place is coming from a designer's perspective. It's quite hard for me to understand because it's not so directly in the briefing,
right?
But it somehow has a good, a nice aesthetic to it.
I think with number 3, there is this familiarity. I think that people were that they were thinking about in terms of like just maybe modernism in general, but also using, again, extracting principles of Bauhaus. However, what that principle was really shapes. And I think what we see here that could be really improved to take this number 3 to the next level is really setting up a grid, like we just mentioned. 1919 and the word Bauhaus being aligned. Okay, so those being aligned together, thinking about things like hierarchy. Which one is more important? Is it 1919 or is it Bauhaus? Which one is more important? And then, just using your shape structure in a way that doesn't necessarily speak as loud. Now, this is a good design. Obviously, it's 3rd place. Again, it's familiar, it's simple, it uses just 3 colors, which is really nice, and they're complementing each other, as well as with the contrast with the bright white there. It's just, if you were going to use this as a poster, maybe I'm looking at this just because of the shape of the square, I see more of like a social media graphic for some reason. I just make that assumption. If we were going to turn this into a poster design, just little things like aligning the text, maybe choosing a little bit of a different font choice, like the number 1 in 1919 has this little hair serif on it, which wasn't used in Bauhaus design. So very good overall. However, I think there were a lot of things that maybe could have just taken this one to the top, and that might be why it was in 3rd place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I would be super interested in knowing from you guys that are watching, why you think this one is the 3rd place. Because from a designer's perspective, like I said, it's not so easy to understand why people think this is better than a lot of other designs that we see in the following. This is good, definitely, but there are some other designs that are more close to the topic, that are closer to the topic.
Correct.
And that would be super interesting, where this has more votes than the others.
Yeah, we would love to know that. And we've said this in previous, Philip and I both have said this in previous challenge recaps, that when we're doing things like this, it's not necessarily we're saying this design is wrong or bad. It's just what's in our mind is like, yeah, this is good. However, does it fit the brief? And so it's like this, in our minds, number 3 has extracted principles of the brief, but it's not lined up with the brief. So definitely let us know. However, great job to the first 3. People were vibing with you all, so I'm down with that. People were vibing with your entries. That's super great. Now let's go on down here and let's make some other comments, critiques, likes of some other posters. So I think this one by Stacy, you had some notes on this one, I think.
Yeah, so this has a simple shapes. That is really nice, a good composition. I'm not super sure if the angles are perfectly matching here. That should be, so if you would have put this in a grid, you can take a grid and like rotate it of some degrees, you know, and then you put everything in there. It would also work for Bauhaus. So a good idea to start a design, definitely. But also, like we said before, the typography here is not right for the topic. It's like there are no serifs in Bauhaus style, and there is no italic in Bauhaus style. It's really straight, very readable, very rational. And if you would have changed the letters here, it would be a very, very good design and pretty close to the topic.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, just changing and really working with text, your type choice, and making sure that, you know, the grid is not falling apart, I think would take this to the next level for sure. All right, let's see what else. Maybe this one by Lewis also caught our eye, because there's some good things going there's some good things going on here. What do you think about this one?
I think this looks like would be really nice as a series of posters. When it looks like it has a concept, you know, and it looks like the concept is adaptable for a series of posters. And it seems like it has a grid, even though I checked it out in depth. The things are not so perfectly aligned how they could be, but at least it looks like it. And this is giving me a strong Bauhaus vibes, even though the colors are maybe not the most typical choice for that. Bauhaus has like it has high contrast, sure, but we really rarely see a clean white. You know, most of the times you have like some little tiny bit of color in the white, and this would have made it more like something from this era.
Yeah, and that's kind of the only thing that's in my mind, because I really like the layout. It's also very web designy, which we were mentioning, or we were talking earlier. There's a lot of, you know, components from Bauhaus kind of in UI design, especially in now times. But just colors, I think, would take this to the next level, like you just mentioned, as well as like, maybe I've just been looking at the wrong Bauhaus posters, but I don't typically see a big shape that's just black, unless it's like an outline type thing, is very simplistic or something like that. Because you see purple, you see yellow, you see this teal and orange, and then there's this black triangle. And it may be this user's way of saying, hey, I want you to start at the top left and read this text. However, the text is already black, so I can do that already. So yeah, I think just working on color would have taken this to the next level.
Yeah, otherwise typography is nice, and it's just a contemporary approach to the topic.
What about so there's a couple in here that are just not, you know, we're not even gonna look at because they're nowhere close.
This is also not, it's not because they are not good or anything, it's just not even close in the topic, you know.
The topic. So this one by Mar is pleasing to look at. I think that this layout is good. The type choice, you know, a lot of people are using the same font that we went in and showed you in Kittl, which is great because that's why we showed it to you in the tutorial. But this is like right on the it's on the cusp of something different. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, this is kind of a rebellion. It's like a person from the Bauhaus era says, okay, great, all this order and structure and everything, but I'm going really crazy here and not putting everything in concentric circles, you know, putting everything like slightly off. And I think it's really cool. It's nice. Nobody would have done it at that time, actually, except from the people who want to raise against
break the rules.
Yeah.
It's crazy because it does such weird things with your eye, and it makes it look like there are these oval shapes. But if you take a second, there are no ovals. They're all perfect circles, just offset over and over and over again. It really creates a super, super cool effect. So I really like this one. I think it's really well done, but it is in that more of like break the rules, take the door off and live free type
And
type
it's
thing.
also creating one more thing. It's also creating some depths, because you have the dark
Yes.
colors in the. It looks like the dark colors are like far away, and the bright colors are more in front. And that's really, for just using circles, it's a really nice effect.
It's really good, really well done here. We did make a couple comments that I think could take this one to the next level. My main thought here for this one was there's just I think there's probably too many colors in the way that these stripes are coming out from the angle here, and maybe just too many, maybe too many and too many colors. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, definitely agree on the color one, but it's kind of okay to use that high amount of colors, but then you have to reduce the elements.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if we'd say we just take half of these stripes with the dots or circles in front, just take half of it and then make it a little bigger so it fills the same space, that would be great. And also the typography, the font on the right, or on the right upper angle, it creates some kind of an angle. And if you're going with an angle like that and you want to put it really on the sides, you have to commit to this ground line that you're setting, like horizontally. So make the illustration also horizontally aligned, and put the January 2023 on the right, so it really sticks to this line. This is how you create a more structured appearance, and this would be really important for the topic.
Yes. Again, there's the principle again of aligning type and making sure things are, justified in that same way. It would be a little rare to have things floating kind of centered in the middle here. So just attaching that, sticking it here to the bottom line, then follows your grid. And as we've mentioned already, grids are very important. Let's see, what else are we going to go with here? So with this one, this is good. I would say this doesn't necessarily follow the brief. However, it's very interesting and very cool. I see this 1925 as well as the deco vibes here in this one.
In relation to the topic, it's too much, definitely too much. But it is pretty pleasing to the eye, steadily pleasing to the eye, and I would have reduced a little bit of the texture here, but this is just a taste, Yeah, and it definitely the typeface is not Bauhaus at the bottom. I don't know which font it is actually, but this is too playful for Bauhaus. Bauhaus is really rational. There is no fun in Bauhaus. Actually, there is a lot of. Actually, there is, but they don't use like that kind of typography. That is so not like standing straight,
So if you had fun with this challenge, you did it wrong.
Yeah, this person definitely had fun.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, what about
the right one?
Yeah, Kim does great work.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting approach, and it also reminds me more of a painting, an abstract painting, and it's. This is what we were talking before. What we were talking about before. There are very few elements, and it creates an interesting composition. And this is really, really something that you can work on and improve. And this will lead to improve everything that you do, like artistically. And this is also not very, like, it is kind of in the Bauhaus niche, but it's more like in the painters niche of that time period. It's not the designers, not the graphic designers, not the typographers. It's more like the painters here. Only this, I don't know what it is, like turned around LET with this rectangle on the left.
Oh yeah, it's like making a little face. Yeah.
If you would have put this, flipped this, and just aligned it on the left, it would be much more with the B, of course, from Bauhaus. It would be much more. It would fit the topic.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if perfectly, but it would be pretty good. I'm not sure if I have seen a book like this related to Bauhaus. I'm not so sure, but maybe I have.
Maybe it exists somewhere. Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
Can you scroll up? I can't
I
see it.
think it's Nalfa.
Yeah,
I don't want
I can't really. Yeah, Nafal, I think. Nafal Anis.
fall. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Nafal. He is using a grid, and
Yeah.
this is actually
Shout out.
this is actually the first design that we are seeing here. Maybe we didn't see it at the others. Maybe it's there, but this one has a visible grid that
Visible grid.
at least the
Yes.
font is. It has 3 columns, and everything is like arranged to these columns. Not everything. The illustration on top, not so much, but at least the typography, and that is really important. Using the two columns on the left, also for the headline, stretch it across these 2 columns, and then put the date on the right. Nice hierarchy of information, and these 3 columns of text. I don't know what's written there, but this is actually pretty close to what is expected from Bauhaus design, even though it looks really contemporary and like a UI design.
Yeah, very
But
web
also
design
UI
heavy.
design- Yeah, but UI design also has its roots in Bauhaus because it's using these grids and
These grids, yeah.
yeah. So this is quite nice. I think if you would have dimmed down the colors, made it a little like older, more vintage colors, this would really. I would say by seeing this, I would say this might be from the time period, and not created recently. Only the colors are like a hint of that this is a new design.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the type placement. It's very good. Font choice is correct, and I like the little geometric. Kind of gives me like a deformed, like parrot looking vibe somehow, like some kind of bird. I don't know why that comes to mind, because there's this little thing. It's like an eye, and this is like a yellow beak or something. I don't know. That's what I see. I'm weird, but I like it.
Dude, I don't know if you're weird. I see something else, but everybody sees something else, I think.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, let us know in the comments what you see here. Is it a bird or is it a train? Let's see. Oh, this one was interesting. Also, kind of following like vibes of the first place winner, where we were talking about Kandinsky a little bit. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's Kandinsky all over again, and it's really really nicely done. It is for a Bauhaus poster. This is not the right choice because it's too wild, but it looks very good. And if this would be for an exhibition, you would have maybe put a frame around this, so you have this image of this abstract composition of shapes. Put this image in a rectangle or in a square, better in a square, and then you can just keep it like how it is. But for now, it's just not structured enough to fit the briefing or fit the challenge here.
Correct. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's really good. It's not bad. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and with the same poster idea that you said, this is another one where I think the type on the bottom right's not even necessary. Like I don't think it's
here. Yeah, I think it's fine here because it takes the color, the same color. It's just another graphic element here.
Right. Exactly.
It's treated like, that's also very important for composition. You have to treat font like a graphic element. It's a graphic element for your designs, and I think in this case it works, so you can keep it. For the first one, I found it a little unrelated to the rest, but here it seems related to me.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I like it. It could also, it may not necessarily have to say Bauhaus. It could say whatever, a name or whatever.
Just exhibition.
Yeah, just exhibition. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pete Mondrian. This is an artist who was not directly related to creating Bauhaus graphics, but he was a great, well-known artist at that time, and it's a smart choice to choose him for this topic. And yeah, but it's not it's not super like the Bauhaus stuff would have been created. This is an exhibition poster for Bauhaus, but in the Bauhaus era, but it uses kind of the wrong typeface at the top. And
I see. Yeah.
yeah, and also I'm not sure, but I think the work of Piet Mondrian was more clearly structured, so we had more constant lines and everything. I'm not so sure about that, but I like the reference here.
Yeah, I think it's well executed. I think it's close to our brief, in the same, again, using elements as well. But I mean, from what I look at, really one of my only comments is just I would have changed the font choice. I would have done something a little bit more Bauhaus heavy structure as opposed to this very thick condensed type.
Yeah, and really important, if you want to improve that, to make it more harmonic and more pleasing to the eye, you should make the strokes all the same weight. And Piet Mondrian also did this in his works. All his
You
strokes
mean in here?
you
mean these?
Yeah,
these
yeah.
strokes?
All
Okay.
these rectangles had the same stroke weight. It doesn't matter how big they are. It just will seem calmer if you do that. You know, now it's kind of like, I don't know the English word for that. Like it's pretty wild. And if you would make it the same, if you would make it the same thickness, it would look a lot calmer. Yeah, that's just how I can say it. Sorry, man.
yeah. No, yeah. It's yeah. Again, I guess louder, softer is another analogy. Maybe like right now it is a little bit loud. If you thicken these lines up that are currently thin to make them the same thickness, there's maybe a little bit more cohesiveness to the outside border that's around it, and it makes it just a little bit softer. So it's like speaking to you, not yelling at you, I guess. Not that it's bad. This is a great design, as well as you already mentioned. The reference here is phenomenal. It's very well done. What else do we want to go? Oh, I had some thoughts on that. Well, we actually both had some thoughts on this one. So like this is like if like a Bauhaus enthusiast and like a streetwear person had to go into the same room and they had to come out with something that they both liked. Like there's just like this kind of like modernistic approach, this new age approach to this Bauhaus style design, because we've got very interesting color choices as well as gradients. But I like it. It's not our brief, but I like it. So what do you think?
Yeah, so gradients for this topic is not right for the topic. It looks good, but Bauhaus didn't have any gradients. If you can show me otherwise, please do. But coming from what I know, there is nothing like a gradient in Bauhaus. So this is more like a contemporary approach. Also, there is some transparencies in Bauhaus as well, but then these forms align and create new clean forms. Like when you take two circles, put them, and then you have this eye-like shape in the middle. Yeah. So if you overlap the numbers here, you should create also very clean forms by like on the top there. You should create alone-standing shapes when you put them on top of each other. I don't know how to explain this exactly, but Bauhaus is really about making a clean, calm composition. And when you have too much detail, and too much detail is, in this instance, when the typeface is on top of each other and building a lot of little darker parts, this is a little bit too much for Bauhaus.
But at the same time, it is a well executed poster. It's just maybe not in the same brief, but well done in your decision making here. There, I can see there is grid here, and it follows a system here, which is nice. As well as you got your like dots up on the top and your dots on the right with this grading here. It's cool. It's just a little different from what we're used to seeing in the challenge here. Let's see.
Man, there are so many good ones, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones, and a lot of similarity as well, or similar structure, difference in execution, which is good.
And we're trying to pick some different looking posters, right? So
what about this?
There are a lot of there are a lot of similar compositions, and it's good because it's
Yeah.
the topic just requires it. But here is a different approach, and this is also really nice. But for Bauhaus, if you use illustrations or if you use photographs, more common even are photographs in Bauhaus, they are really separated from the rest. So, and it's most of the time it's not very realistic. Here you have this city shape, and you in this time period you would have never seen an illustration on a poster like that. If you would have, if you just would take it out and make a more abstract skyline with just 3 rectangles or so, this would work much better. If you want to put a city in there, I think the topic is Berlin here, so this is obviously Berlin down there. Yeah, but you have to take out the illustration and just replace it with something more simple.
Yeah, and kind of what you described with the rectangles is like similar to almost like a deco style skyline, where it's very simple, maybe not even as much detail, just very simple rectangle shapes there along the bottom, right? That could work as your skyline, or insinuating a skyline. Kind of, I mean, I do like the thought, especially because you have that blue that like kind of represents water or the river or whatever. I think that's kind of neat. But yeah, absolutely figuring out how to stay in that same kind of time period. Now, in general, this is a nice poster design. Sorry, it's already nice. It's just it's broken the rules to several time periods above. Like somebody was like, I'm gonna reach all the way to the next time period. This one by Eric. So this is really nice, which we did look up, used here. Like, what are your thoughts here? Because at first we were like, yeah, that's there because we recognized this poster, but at the same time it is kind of doing something different. But what? Yeah, I'm gonna let you again. I'm not the Bauhaus master. I rarely do this style, but what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, so this guy Jost Schmidt, he's really breaking the rules, but not really breaking them. Because he's still using a grid, and he has just flipped it around a specific amount of degrees, and but he keeps the grid, you know. And this is really important. He just is really consequent in what he is doing there, and he is working, and that's the kind of playfulness in Bauhaus style, that you are using the rules to create something different. So nobody can say you're not following the rules, right? But he actually is. And he's using all the grotesque typefaces that were used in this time period. And he's using basic geometric shapes. And he's using a grid. Man.
Yeah. No, I mean, just the thinking on the reference alone, dropping some extra knowledge is kudos to you, Eric. Well done.
Yes.
Eric does great work, and this is a really nice poster. So good job. And yeah, I love being able to go off and do other little references and things. I think that's such a neat thing that people can bring into these challenges, is when they do something like this where they explain the reference. Now, this is obviously someone, I think, trying to roast Eric, because it says you lifted a design by Used for 1923. So it's like a slight roast. However, this is a challenge. So let's everybody think it is a challenge, right? You're not necessarily going to go sell all these pieces or try to, copyright something. This is an exercise. So I think here it's absolutely phenomenal. I think it was a great reference to use.
Yeah, it is a reference, definitely, and no need to hate here, I think. And even if you Google Bauhaus poster, right, one of the first results will be this kind of poster by Jost Schmidt, and it's really not far fetched. So I don't think it's the idea is to steal something here. It's just to play with the topic. Just if it's kind of new for you, you always have to take some reference.
Yeah.
And work with that so you understand better what these people were doing, and by reproducing, you understand a lot. If you start with anything in the creative area, reproducing is always a great way to learn. Not to sell your own work, of course, not to do that, but
one of the things in our brief is always we use this word, this analogy of stretch your design skills or flex your design muscle. That's always in our brief. It's always in our email as well. So I use what you said. I think about all the time is like such a good way to learn. This reproduction in whatever reference you're doing is such a good way to learn. I mean, it's helped me throughout all the years. But yeah, not to copy and then go like, you know, steal and sell or whatever, but as an exercise is very, very, very good.
But I think he's more appreciating what Mr. Schmidt has done here, and I mean, I think he died in the 1950s or so, and the Bauhaus era itself was in the 1920s, just for information. So it's nearly 100. It's actually 100 years ago where these designs were made. Crazy, right? That's actually crazy, and all the web-based stuff that we see has something to do with these grid-based designs.
And speaking of web-based design, let's award our special winner, who we have pre-selected as our Nafal man here with our very kind of UI-ish style, but just such a clean visual grid. You know what I mean? Like
this one was really tough for us because we always need to justify why we select someone who is our winner of hearts, you know. And in this case, it's Nafal because he visually shows us in his design that he is using the grid, which is so extremely important for this topic. And we were thinking about categories or reasons why we should nominate someone, and we came to the point that we will award the person who just stuck to the rules visually for us the most, you know.
And it has a lot of elements of all of the same, you know, principles, along with, you know, this is one of the posters that I think also has the most amount of type that's cleanly executed here, which is nice. I mean, all those little paragraphs are all sample paragraphs, but it could work as a template for a really nice poster design, or like we've already mentioned, these UI UX components, these principles from grids and things that have been taken from Bauhaus into what we do all the time, every day. So excellently done. I'll be reaching out to you. Job well done. Job well done to everyone. I mean, there's a lot of designs. You know, if we had hours and hours, we could go through and critique a lot. But we kind of
think we are doing this for quite a long time, right?
We've already done this.
Really, it's a really rich topic. You know, you can talk a lot about this, even though it looks so simple.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is such a big part of both history and design itself. Like, this could be, I'm sure there's a masterclass somewhere on it, but it could be our own masterclass on it.
I think every university will start somewhere in the Bauhaus period to show you some principles that are really important for design in general.
Absolutely. Well, Philip, thank you so much for hanging out and going through the challenge recap with us. I know some people have been waiting for challenge recaps. This will be our first one for 2023. So get ready for more challenges. We've got more on the way, exciting things, more challenge recaps, because I know you all enjoyed these. So I hope you had fun watching this critique. Philip, is there anything you want to leave the viewers with, just design principle or advice wise, before we sign off?
Advice wise, I think we have said quite enough about design principles and everything. But I wish everybody a nice start of 2023, and happy to be here in the first video, challenge related, and it was really fun.
Yes. Well, everyone, don't forget to subscribe. I always forget to say that earlier. Subscribe to the Kittl channel so that you don't miss anything. Thanks so much for watching, and we will catch you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.